Oh, I see the countdown too.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Kathy Chats. I'm Kathy O'Connell, the founder of Inclusive Wedding Planning, and I'm so excited to have you here today to learn more about LGBTQ plus wedding issues, life in general, things to inspire, things to learn. That's why we're here. I am so excited today to have with me my dear friend Frank Burgess. Frank is an educator. He's a former Disney guy. He's massive talents in many, many arenas. And I'm so blessed that he is actually the director of marketing for Inclusive Wedding Planning. He's helping get this phenomenal program off the ground. So I really wanted to talk to Frank today about his journey, his life, his story, because he's also engaged, and we can learn more about all of that, and then we'll share and talk. So, Frank, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and excited to get to talk to you a little bit about, my wedding planning journey, and of course, inclusiveweddingplanning.com.
Cool. Well, these I know you well. We have couples around the world watching who don't know you at all. So tell us a bit of your background. You've done all kinds of great things. Tell us how you got from A to Z, where you are now.
Absolutely, yeah. So, my name is Frank. I live in Orange County, California, in a city called Tustin, which is right down the street from Newport Beach. So, really lucky and blessed to live where I do. But I'm originally from Arizona, moved out to California in 2010 to work for the Disneyland Resort, and worked there for several years. From there, had a couple of other jobs, but I did my graduate school and master's program at Chapman University here in Orange County in Orange, California. And it was there at Chapman, for my master's program, master's in leadership development, that I took this really cool class called Leadership in Diversity and Equity. And part of that class, we had to come up with a final project of our choosing where we could go out into our own communities. We could, if we wanted to do it a little bit broader, around the country, but whatever it was that needed a little bit of attention from a diversity and equity standpoint, uh, figure out what to do about it, and come up with some kind of final project, um, and hopefully make some change, right? So part of that was I had to reflect on, what I wanted to do, and what was important to me and what mattered to me to try to make a change. So I got engaged to my fiance Connor in August of 2020. We had a double proposal up in Napa, wine country. So, I planned my own proposal. He planned his proposal. Lo and behold, we had the same idea on the exact same trip, and we were just days apart from proposing to each other.
Who was first?
Connor was first. And so I absolutely relished in the, like, I knew I was proposing 2 days later. So I thought, do I propose earlier, or do I just bask in the glory of being, engaged all by myself? So I said, he can wait. So 2 days later, I proposed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So part of that, though, I remember driving back home. We drove up to Napa, so we, on our way back, I was very excited, as most couples are, and I immediately went to Instagram, and I wanted to see, as part of my excitement, I wanted to see what wedding professionals, wedding vendors were out there, so I could start just, getting a sense of who's out there, who does what do I like, what do I not like. And there was something really interesting that I saw almost right away. I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I'm seeing, okay, here's a wedding professional. Let's see. I'm looking for specifically gay couples on their Instagram feed. And my rule of thumb was, if I had to do this more than 3 times, at the third little swipe, if I didn't see a gay couple, I was done. I was moving on to the next wedding professional. And so what I found right away was I wasn't seeing a ton of gay couples in the Orange County area on these Wedding Pros Instagrams. Didn't have a problem finding that in the Los Angeles group of Wedding Pros. Had no problem in Palm Springs, had no problem in San Diego. So what I saw was it almost made this little like circle around Orange County. So when it came time to this diversity and equity project for grad school, I thought, there might be something there to be able to potentially do the work for LGBTQ couples here in Orange County and come up with some kind of directory, if you will, of wedding pros who are LGBTQ plus inclusive. And so that's what I did. I started an Instagram page called LGBT Weddings OC. And on this page, it basically is a one-stop shop for LGBTQ couples in either Orange County or Temecula, California, wine country. And the reason I added Temecula is because that's where we're getting married. So I wanted to include that group as well in the mix. But this is a just a spot that couples can come to, and I've done all the vetting and the work for them because it's hard. Couples when they call a vendor and they're not sure if they'll do their wedding, it feels like I'm having to come out to them. So I've taken the coming out process away off the table. You don't have to come out to any of these vendors. I'm already showing you their same sex couples, their LGBTQ couples. If you're looking at my page, you found a vendor on there, you don't have to come out to them because they're already on the page. I've already done that vetting for you.
That is
So
just
that's
so
how I started that.
fantastic. That's so fantastic, Frank, because that is, I hear stories every day of couples, yeah, California maybe is better than some places, but maybe not. I still hear from California couples that pick up the phone to call someone, and then once they figure out that, Sam and Sam are, two guys, not a
Yeah.
guy and a girl, they're like, I don't think I want to work with you. And I
Yeah.
know it's much worse in other parts of the country. So thank you for doing that here. What advice do you have for couples who are in somewhere else? I don't want to name states, but there are states in this country where it's not easy to do this.
Yeah. So what I would recommend is basically what I was doing when right after I got engaged. You know, representation really does matter, right? And so a really quick and easy way to see if a vendor is gonna be inclusive is take a look at their Instagram page, take a look at their Facebook, take a look at their website and look to see if you don't see people that look like you on their pages, then move on with your life. But
Mhm.
if you're at a spot, let's say, you're really looking for a photographer and maybe you live in a really small town and there's only a handful of photographers and you're still not seeing that representation on there. I guess you have a decision to make. Do you look outside of that bubble? Do you kind of expand your search a little bit until you find somebody who's showing that representation? Or do you have that kind of talk with yourself to say, okay, I'm gonna have to call this vendor, this photographer, for example, and I'm gonna have to come out to them. I'm gonna have to say, hey, my name is Frank and I'm getting married, but before we get too deep into the conversation, I just want to let you know, right? But that's something that is going to be very unique and individual to every specific couple.
Mhm. Mhm.
It might be easier for you to say, I don't want to go through that coming out process all over again with these wedding pros. So maybe I just expand my search. Instead of looking in this little town, I'll expand it to the next, two or three cities around me and see if we can bring someone. And because here's the deal too that I've learned is that don't be scared of these travel fees that you might hear from these wedding pros that say, "Hey, I'm totally able to come and do your wedding. There's a little travel fee associated." Don't be scared of that. If you have the conversation, there was a couple of wedding professionals for my own wedding that I saw on their website. It said travel fee. You have the conversation, and they're like, "Oh no, your venue's close enough. Don't even charge it." So I will also give that advice. Don't be
Exactly.
scared of the little travel fee, attention field on the website for some wedding pros because they might talk to you and say, "Don't even worry about it. Won't even charge you," or they'll charge you like a minuscule. So
Mhm.
feel
Yep.
free to expand your reach a little
And
bit
I
too.
found that that is also really true with LGBTQ plus owned businesses.
Yes.
Those of us in the family want to support the family. And
Yeah.
I too, our wedding planning company, we've traveled to go help someone do a wedding just because they're family. And I knew they needed help. We knew we figured out a way to help them. We were able to do that. Now, how did you find? I know you were able, and I know not everyone watching is able to hire a wedding planner.
Yeah.
That's part of why inclusive wedding planning exists because we want to give resources to help you learn how to do it yourself wherever in the world you are. But how did you go about finding and choosing and selecting the right people for you for your wedding day?
Yeah. So, first it started honestly on that Instagram search and looking to see who was showing inclusivity and who wasn't. And so, just by doing that, I was able to right away just get a good sense of the professionals in my area that I might be interested in working with. And I'd save their profiles first that way. So that's how I started that. But then how it kind of naturally evolved was really the first wedding pro that we booked was our videographer, and that was through just an Instagram search. Found their stuff, found that they were local to us. They're in San Diego, travel to Temecula all the time, and so we booked them, and through them then we were able, they gave us recommendations. We work with LGBTQ couples all the time. Here's some other wedding pros that we've worked with in the past, and that was super duper helpful too. And there's something to be said about that. Find Once you find, one or two wedding pros that you really want to work with, ask them. Who do you recommend? Who have you worked with that you really A, love working with, and B, are inclusive to LGBTQ couples? So that was one way. And then once we do have a wedding planner that we hired, and that was one of the great things about wedding hiring this planner, was that she had all of these resources and wedding pros already, that she just, here you go, these are the people that you work with. And so that's one of the really exciting things about inclusive wedding planning is, we totally understand that not all couples can afford to hire a planner, or maybe they just don't want to hire a planner, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Inclusive wedding planning can step in and say, okay, just like my wedding planner was able to say, here you go, Frank, here's a bunch of wedding professionals that I've worked with. Here's a vendor list for you. We have that too. Kathy knows a lot of people. We know a lot of people all over the country. And if we don't know somebody in your area, we'll put the call out there and we'll say, we'll do that legwork for you. I guarantee you someone knows someone who knows someone who can do your wedding. Guarantee it.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you for saying that, Frank, because that's so true that there is a network in this industry of people who want to help people. That's why we are doing this. We love weddings. I mean, 20 years ago, did I think I was going to grow up and be a wedding planner? Nope. But J-Lo, here I am. And helping people wherever they are is just such a blessing to be able to help someone in Arkansas find someone in their region because there are people everywhere who want to help LGBTQ plus couples, and we just want to help you connect and make that happen. Now, how about
Absolutely.
drama? How about family matters? Have you had any with your planning? Any issues
I
family
think
wise?
absolutely we've run into some family matters, and that is not going to be a surprise to anybody who is planning their wedding. You have all of these different family dynamics, especially as LGBTQ people, right? You probably have gone your entire life maybe being in the closet, then coming out of the closet. Maybe you have family members that accept you. Maybe you don't have family members that accept you. Um, so family dynamics, that's going to happen. Luckily, our wedding hasn't brought out too much of the family drama. There's been just some, let's just be aware of some things that could happen, and let's just be
Mhm.
prepared for those things. But we've been really fortunate, lucky enough to not have a
Right,
ton of that family drama.
right.
But it's only March. We've got
We
two
got
months
two more
until the
months.
wedding, so we'll see. Yeah.
Well, another thing I always tell LGBTQ plus couples at the beginning is don't make assumptions. Don't assume that grandma is not coming because you're having a gay wedding.
Right.
Don't make assumptions about people. I have seen transformation happen with families over the time period of planning a wedding. I've seen fathers step up and write a check when at the very beginning of the planning process the couple said, "Oh, there is no way we're paying for this ourselves. Maybe they'll come, maybe they won't. Maybe we'll tell them, maybe we won't." And it's so sad that that is even an issue in our
Hmm.
world and something we have to even think or talk about. But I tell people just to be patient, hold them in grace, and create your own family if you need to. Because the
Absolutely.
bottom of the line, and what's so great about LGBTQ plus wedding is there are no rules. I mean, when I meet with a straight couple, they're pretty much okay. I'm going to walk down with my daddy. I mean, that's kind of
Right.
like they don't think about it. Maybe both parents.
Right.
That's what the bride is going to do. But with an LGBTQ plus couple, there are no rules. Let's create whatever you want. There are
Exactly.
many ways to walk down an aisle. There are many ways to dance or not dance. There are many ways to give toasts. There are many ways to honor the people important to you. And I think the goal is to think about that in different ways. We need to expand
Yes.
kind of this traditional heteronormative way that weddings happen and figure out a new way to do that. Um,
Absolutely.
which which is part of our passion and why we're doing this. This is part of the purpose for inclusive wedding planning is to really kind of break some of those norms and create a way for all of us to think about it. I mean, hey, I got married on a beach in Mexico with 4 people. I didn't
Yeah.
even think about it. My wife and I ran off, brought 2 friends. We didn't do anything traditional.
Yeah.
And that was perfect for us. So the goal is figuring out what couples really want and how that works for them.
Yeah, and
So
that's been the one of the funnest parts about, planning our wedding, over here. It is exactly what you're talking about. Like, don't get me wrong, I've got all of I've got a ton of magazines on the coffee table right now that, I'll flip through. I've got some books. I've got all of these different things that tell couples, this is how you're supposed to do it, and a lot of the stuff that they're talking about does not apply to us. And so that's been the really fun thing, that we've been able to do as a couple. Just sit down and talk about what do we want to do and what do we not want to do.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's been such a freeing thing to be able to do and say, let's just make this event makes sense for us. I'll give you a great example. I did have a family member say, hey, just so that we can plan ahead, you are going to do a money dance, right? And I was like, a money dance. And I, as after she had said it, I thought, oh, I guess I have. Yeah, I've seen that. I've gone to weddings where, the couple is out on the dance floor, and then all of a sudden, people from the audience get up from their tables. They might, bring a $20 bill, $100 bill, whatever it is, and they, give the money to somebody collecting the money, or they'll give it to the bride or to the groom, and then they slow dance with the person. I was like, ugh, I definitely don't. No. I was like, how about instead of the money dance part, you just bring the money and we'll accept that as you come in as a cover charge. But we'll forget the money dance. But that's a great example of, it's one of those things that some people just assume that you got to do the money dance. No, you don't. I'm telling you right now, everyone, come in closer. You don't have to do the money dance. You don't. Do whatever makes sense for you. And for us, the money dance did not make sense.
Did not make sense.
Yeah.
So what's been the hardest part of the whole process?
The hardest part of this whole process, I would probably guess it was just, getting all of our wedding professionals gathered and booked, and just making sure that we had a team that could work together and bring this, event to life, bring our vision to life. And I say that it was the hardest part only because, sometimes you're gonna have this idea in your head or on paper, and you say, this is my dream vendor list.
Mhm.
These are the people that I want to execute my wedding. Well, what happens when you call one of them and they go, "We're booked on your date. There's no like we can't there's no way." What do, right? So we we learned that I think right away there was one just somebody wasn't available. I can't even remember who it was, but somebody that just wasn't available on our date. And that's okay, but what it taught me was okay, for all of these other wedding pros that we haven't booked yet, let's just come up with plan B, a plan C just in case. And so it was only hard because it was time consuming, but it wasn't that it was a difficult task. It was just
Mhm.
time consuming in the sense that, it took some more research. Okay, if this person's not available, who else, from a style wise do we like? Let's go through Instagrams all over. Okay, now then, if this person's not available, who do we go to? So that's where I say that was
Mhm.
probably the hardest part was just coming up with the plan Bs and the plan Cs because you never know. Either they
Yeah.
could not be available for your date, or heaven forbid they say, "Oh, we actually don't do gay weddings."
Yeah. Well, that's
Obviously,
such great advice because I think especially in this post-COVID sort of, can I use that word? Are we post-COVID? Almost,
almost post COVID,
almost.
right?
But
Yeah,
in this world, wedding season, the wedding industry is going crazy. So I always tell couples to have backups, have multiple locations you're interested, have multiple dates you're willing to do,
yeah,
and absolutely with vendors have a lot of backup choices because you are most likely not going to get your first choice for every single thing. And just have flexibility. Because the
yeah,
truth is, I really believe the right team comes together. And if somebody's not available, that's not the right person. Somebody better is going to come along and fill that place. The same thing with picking a venue because
yeah.
there are so many choices. Your guests don't know what you didn't pick. Is what I always tell people. Whether it's the place, the vendors, the food, your guests don't know what didn't happen. They're going to walk in the door and go, "Oh my God, this is the best amazing wedding ever." And
Yes,
that's how we're going to feel when we come to yours because I'm coming and I can't wait.
yes, you are. You and Dory.
I even have my room booked. I haven't been a guest at a wedding in years. I've
Oh,
done many family and friends weddings, but I'm still there like being, Kathy, Auntie Kathy wedding planner. And this is
nope,
like
for this
so
wedding,
much
that's not
fun.
allowed. You're coming, you're just a guest, you're gonna
How
enjoy, have some
sweet.
bubbles, have some fun. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So what else is important for couples to know? What is your like advice would you say? You're just getting started. You're sitting down with a friend. They're just getting started. They're like, Frank, what do I do now?
Yeah. So the main advice that I would give couples who are just starting off in the wedding planning process is don't get too hung up on the perfect wedding, right? Don't get hung up on it just has to be at this venue. It just has to be on this date. Otherwise, it's going to totally ruin everything. I'll give you an example of this is a story that Connor loves to tell our friends of how the day that Frank tricked me into picking our wedding date. And but it's a really good way to think about, when do you want to get married? So we had taken a little trip. This was during COVID time, like deep COVID times. The wineries had just opened up. We were like so sick of being in the house. So when we read that Temecula had opened up some wineries, and we said, "Don't say less. We'll be there this weekend." So we did a little trip that we'd already been engaged by this point. So we went up to Temecula, planned just to relax, get out of the house, get some fresh air. And we were walking around one of the wineries that we knew was on the potential vendor
Right,
or
right.
venue list. And we were walking around, and I waited until he had a sip of wine so he could relax a little bit. And I said, let's just walk over to where they do the weddings at this winery.
Mhm.
And he's like, sure, let's go walk over there. And we're taking it all in, and it's beautiful. And I just asked him, I said, when you think about our wedding, what what does this area look like around us? Are the vines bare? Like, are there no leaves? That would be winter. Are they
Mhm.
lush and green and the grapes are fully on there and like they're about to harvest? That might be around spring, early summer. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I guess I would want, Yeah, I want the vines to have leaves and grapes on them. And so right away I was like, okay, we're not having a winter wedding. We're gonna have something in the spring or the summer, right? And then it was like, okay, well, yeah, that would be about the spring or the summer. So March, April, May, maybe June. Of those months, what month do you like the best? He's like, "Oh, well, maybe I don't know, maybe April or May." I was like, "Okay, well, let's take a look at our calendar and let's see what's going on. Oh, well, this is so and so's birthday. Do we want to have it on their birthday? No. Oh, well, this is grandma's birthday. Do we want it on grandma's birthday? No. Oh, well, this is so and so's anniversary. Do we want to share an anniversary? No. And by process of elimination, I'm like, all right, well, the wedding's on May 28th of 2022.
You're
And
so
he was like,
sneaky.
what just happened? I'm like, what just happened was by process of elimination, by thinking about all of these different, just what do Californians, it's all about the
Yeah,
vibe. What do you want the vibe to be?
right.
It was, well, I want, greenery on the vines. I want the grapes to be, fully there, like not harvested yet. And just by doing that, we were able to kind of narrow down some choices. And we before we narrowed down the specific date, it was okay, we have 3 weekends that we could potentially do this. We could do it here, here, or here. And so automatically, I had three dates that I could choose from. We picked our ideal one, and I had two backups just in
Great.
case. We'd already talked about it. We already said that that's what we wanted. And so I would suggest doing something very similar. If you're just starting the wedding planning process, you don't know where to start, don't start worrying about who's the florist going to be and what are the flowers going to look like and all of these things. I honestly would recommend maybe taking that approach when you think about your wedding, and there's no wrong answer. It's whatever you want it to be. When you think about your wedding, what do you picture? When you look back at those wedding photos, don't think about who the photographer is. You're just thinking about when you look back at those photos, what do you want to see in those photos? Obviously, yourselves, but what's in the background? Is it a lush countryside scape? Is it a busy cityscape? What does that look like? And just by thinking about it from that sense, all of a sudden you're working from the outside in. You're thinking broad. You go, okay, well, this is generally what I want, then you can start narrowing it down. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, well, just by process of elimination, I've come up with my date. Here are some vendors in my area that I want to reach out to. Are you available for these dates? And then just like that, you're naturally starting to check a lot of those boxes off of your list.
And it's a really great way to get somebody to commit to a date who is not doing that yet.
Yes.
We see that a lot with couples. Well, we're engaged, but we haven't quite figured it out yet. This is a great way to move things forward.
And
Uh,
that's just when you're ready to move things forward. If you're at that stage where you're like, okay, I've enjoyed my engagement, and that's another thing that I'll definitely give, big advice to enjoy your engagement. There's no rush to start the planning process. You don't need to get engaged today and start planning your wedding and pick a date tomorrow.
yeah, great advice.
Enjoy being engaged.
Great advice. Great
Enjoy
advice.
it.
And people are going to put pressure on you. They're going to say, "Oh, where are you getting married? What are your colors? I want to book a room. Where are we going?" Just it's okay to slow down. And
Yeah.
there is a lot of pressure because weddings are so impacted right now.
Yeah.
Unless you really for sure know you want to get married in 2022, in which case you better start looking for a venue right now.
And that's
Um,
that's exactly what I was going to say. So, my last piece of advice are for the couples who have been engaged for a little bit and you're thinking, I've been waiting. I don't really need to book my vendors just yet. Book your vendor, especially if you're wanting to do your wedding this year, 2022. Start making your phone calls right now.
exactly.
But those are just for those couples that, I've been engaged for several months. I'm ready. I've been thinking about my perfect wedding. But I've got time. I can just call somebody, a couple of months before. No,
Exactly.
no.
Well, we've changed our task lists around. And one of the things couples get if they sign up for our inclusive wedding planning program is they actually get a checklist. They get a
Yeah.
checklist of everything you need to do between now and then for your wedding. And there are 200 things on this list. There's a lot of stuff.
Y'all.
And but the key is it is to be sorted and tracked by importance. And we always start with the things that are most important, which you just talked about, which is getting vendors booked, getting the venue booked, getting vendors booked, and then it's okay to take some time and relax and enjoy the process. I really think people should enjoy the planning process, but you're absolutely right. There are things that have to happen at the beginning. So
And
what's
so,
next for you? You're going to get
yeah,
married, and then what?
yeah. So, I mean, right now I'm just working hard with you, Kathy, on inclusive wedding
I know.
planning, for all of these couples that are watching today. Um, you know, you know that you need a little bit of help, just getting everything organized and put together in one spot, but you may not be able to afford a wedding planner. You may not want to hire a wedding planner. But it's that list that Kathy was just talking about, is coming to one spot and just having somebody who has done this over and over and over again. Kathy is an amazing, talented wedding professional uh, who has done this using her expertise and knowledge and having these lists in one spot. I know is going to help so many of you out. And so right now, my focus is inclusive wedding planning and helping couples all over the country, you know, figure out how to, plan their weddings. And so that's what I'm really excited about right now, is just helping you with all of this, because I
Well,
know this is going to be a huge help to couples everywhere.
you've been so great and so gracious, Frank. So thank you about that. So there are two things coming up for everyone to know about. On Monday, next Monday, March 14th, I'm doing a free workshop on planning your LGBTQ plus wedding with ease and fun.
Yes.
45 minutes. Log in, sign up, watch it live. It's going to be posted on YouTube, so you can watch it whenever you're ready. I also have a sign up on my training portal. So plan to do that, to give you some tips and tricks on how to get started. And if that makes you wanting more, we're launching on April 2nd a training workshop that will be 13 modules. I like the number 13. Some people don't, but I have 13 modules about every single step that goes into planning a wedding. And step by step, you can do it on your own timing. Comes with a workbook, comes with task lists, comes with checklists, comes with all kinds of things to really guide you through that process. And it also includes a support group, 4 people in the class, once a month, going to be live on Facebook. You can ask me anything. It's really ask Kathy, and we are here to help you. It's me, it's Frank. We have a whole team. We want to help support you. We want you to have the wedding of your dreams wherever in the world you are. And we want it to be easy. We want it to be fun. So check us out at inclusiveweddingplanning.com. Website's there. It's up. Stuff's up. We're so excited.
Yeah.
And Frank, thank you for sharing, for joining, for being the amazing human you are, being
My
part of
pleasure.
this world. And we're here to try to make change, guys. I mean, my dream is that in the next decade or two, we don't even need this. That it's
Right.
getting married. Everybody's just getting married. It doesn't matter where you are in the alphabet. Unfortunately, that's not true yet. And we're here to
Exactly.
help make that happen. We're here to support you. And I just bless every one of you who are getting married. And I invite you to help us, let us help you, and make sure you have fun on the journey. So thank you again, Frank. Love you, dear. I will see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll check in next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.